Now we can start the screen.
Yeah, we can proceed now. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. Sorry for the inconvenience caused. Please let me know when the screen is visible to you all.
Yeah,
Yes, you
it's
can see the
visible.
screen.
Yes,
It's
it's
visible? Okay, thank you. So in the last class, we were discussing about introduction to the Power Query editor, wherein I showed you the GUI of Power Query Editor, and there we talked about the left pane, that is where the queries are present, the right pane where we have the transformation steps recorded for each step that is carried out, and then we have the Home tab, the Transformation tab, and the Add Column tab, which I did not discuss, but we will discuss it in detail for sure. And there's also a View tab. I'll tell you about that. Okay. So today we'll start with the workflow of Power BI. So this is how the things go on as far as most of the business intelligence tools are concerned. First, we connect to the data sources from different sources. Then we transform the same data. Then we model the data according to our needs. And within that model, we create calculated columns and measures. And then we go on to create the reports and visualizations that are required from the business end. And ultimately, we are able to publish, share, and collaborate the work with the business end. So this is the basic workflow about how the things occur as far as any BI intelligence tool, and especially Power BI is concerned. Okay. So sometimes in interview, they might ask you this question, what's the workflow? But yeah, this is the way it goes in each and every data analysis project. Okay. So move on to the next thing now. So we'll start with getting our hands dirty with Power BI today, with learning the main concept, how to get the data from the different sources. And then we will go on to transform the data. Okay. So let me first open the Power BI itself. Okay. Yeah. So this is the first screen that you'll be greeted with once you open the Power BI. And the way to get the data, the very simple way to get the data in here is just go to get data and click on this. Okay. Either you can pick from the existing options that are available here, or if your option is not in this particular list, you can click on more. Okay. And once you click on more, the thing is, you can see here, there are so many data sources which are available. Okay. And if I go on scrolling it like this, okay, I can find that from this, I can connect to more than 150 data sources. Okay. So this is one of the prime advantage that Power BI has over other BI tools, that by Power BI, we can connect to more than 150 plus data sources. Okay. You can see you can connect to different types of files. You can connect to different types of databases. You can connect to Power BI platform, and then Microsoft Fabric, Azure, and many online data sources, web, and the connections are, more than sufficient is what we can say. Okay. So first, what we'll do today, we'll try to connect with some of the data sources here. Okay. And I'll show you how to get the file into the Power BI. So first, let's get the data from, let's say, text.csv. And I hope you all know what is text.csv. CSV is basically comma separated value files. So I have one file here, which is named orders. Okay. I'll point to that. I'll click on open. And once I do that, what happens is that Power BI first establishes connection with that particular file. And then it gives me this window where I'm supposed to do either of the two things. I can directly load the data in Power BI if it's clean. And if this data needs to be cleaned, then I can go on and select transform data like this. Okay. And when you click on transform data, you will be taken to Power Query Editor, the GUI of which we discussed in the last class. So this will be visible like this. Okay. So this is how we get the simple CSV file. Okay. And now let's say we need to get one more different kind of file. Let's say we wish to bring in a file which is of Excel sheet. Okay. So instead of going back to the first window, what I can do is within Power Query editor itself, I can click on new source. Okay. And I can click on Excel workbook. Now you can see there's also one Excel workbook sheet in this, which is called Sample Superstore. I'll click on this. Okay. And once I do that, what happens is it will establish the connection. And if you know how Excel works, Excel itself has, Excel workbook has multiple sheets within it. Okay. So it asks me which particular sheet I want to bring in. In this case, it is maybe orders or maybe returns or maybe users. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll click on all three of these. I'll select all three of these and I'll try to bring them in like this. I'll click on OK. And all of them will be within this. Okay. So this is how you get the data from Excel or CSV files. Okay. Now, let me try connecting to a database. Okay. Let's say SQL database. So first, let me click here, close and apply. Okay. When you click on close and apply, all the applied steps in the Power Query editor, all the transformation steps in the Power Query editor will be applied and saved, and then it will be closed. And the data which we got in the Power Query editor will be loaded in the Power BI desktop like this. See, it's loading all the files here. Okay. Although we have not done any transformation steps, it is loading the file as raw. Okay. We'll go into the transformation steps once we are done with getting all the data from this. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. Bringing in CSV and Excel files.
Yes.
Okay.
So I have one confusion, right?
Yeah.
Once we bring the order.csv, right, then we need to close that window to bring the another text file or something.
No, nothing. I told you, no, there only you can go to new source. That's how I brought it.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say we want to connect to a database. Okay. And let me show you one very important thing, how you can connect to a SQL database using Power BI service. Power BI desktop. Okay. So what I need to do, first of all, I need to keep my SQL server connected. Okay. Like this. So it is open. I hope most of you have got SSMS installed in your computers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll just keep my SSMS open and I'll connect to a database, the server. And as you can see, my server has many databases here. AdventureWorks 2019, AdventureWorks 2014, there's e-commerce database, there's sample DB database. Okay. So what I'll try to do is I'll try to bring in this AdventureWorks 2019 into the Power BI.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, anyone has any doubt, please?
No, sir.
Okay. So let me go into get data once again, and I'll go for more just to show how it works. Okay. Even though SQL Server is here, I'll click on more. Okay. And I'll select the same from the database here. If you click on database, at the first option, you have SQL Server database. Okay. I'll go to connected. Okay. Now, the thing is that you need to enter the server name. I have stored my server name in this. Okay, that is it, SQL server name, which is desktop SQL Express. And basically the server name is this. Okay, this is your server name. Okay, I'm entering the server name. And then I want to, let's say I want to I want to get a particular database. So I can show you that in my server, there are many databases like this. So let's say I want to bring the AdventureWorks 2019. So I can enter the same in here, AdventureWorks 2019. And then I can click on selecting the modes in which I can get it. There are two modes that you can get the data into the Power BI. Actually, there are three. The other one is live connection, apart from import and direct query that we have here. But I'll discuss that later. But right now, to bring in a database, you have two methods. One is import mode, one is direct query. We'll go into detail, but let me bring that first in import mode. So I'll click on OK. So what happens is it tries to establish the connection first, and then it goes on to bring the data. Now look here, it has connected to it has connected to the AdventureWorks 2019 database. And as you know, AdventureWorks 2019 database has many tables within it. Okay, like you can see this. Okay, and the main thing here to be noted is that these things are queries. The boxes within boxes which you're seeing here. Are you able to see this?
Yes.
These icons, those are queries or separate views is what we can call. And the single table icons which you're seeing here, are these visible? These are nothing but the actual tables. Okay. So in SQL, as you know, there are tables and there are views as well. There is schema as well. Okay.
So, Pawan,
So yeah.
sorry to interrupt you.
Not a problem.
What you said, just these are the tables at above.
Come again, please.
Could you scroll above?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, just I am asking about
Mhm.
human sources dot be employee. What is this?
See, the thing is, in SQL, you have an option to make new tables, new virtual tables out of existing tables with the help of writing queries. And that's what we can call queries or views. So these are those. I hope you got that.
What is the difference between a view and a table again?
A view and the table is, a view is made out of multiple tables. Okay, let's say
Okay.
if you want to combine 2 and 3 tables and get some common columns out of it. So that particular thing which you do to existing tables to get a new entity is called as a view. Understood?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these top things, these are, the double icons. These are views or queries, and these the single icon tables, these are tables. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me bring human resources that employee table. Okay, so where is it? Human resources that dot employee. I'm selecting this, and I'm directly, I'll just directly load the data this time. Okay, I'll not go to the transform or Power Query editor. I'll just directly load the data. So what I get is human resources dot employee. Okay, so this is how you get the data from SQL Server. Hope this thing is clear to you, everyone.
So
Yes.
that means we have load the data into Power BI, right?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Okay, I'm coming to the modes of storage, but just right now, you just make sure that you understand this. Okay.
Yeah,
In-
but if you
in
didn't
our-
have permission in the database, you wouldn't be able to do this, right?
Come again, please.
If you didn't have any permission in that database, you wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to
we,
do this.
we need the permission or access to have the database. If we don't have the access to the database, we can't bring it. As simple as that.
So, so Pawan, this DB from DB, we have bring the data here. Now my database is down, so still we are able to work, right?
Yes, I'm coming to the import mode. I'll please let me go forward.
Sure,
Because there are two modes. As I said, direct query and import. I'll show you the clear difference between the two. Okay. But right now, this is clear to everyone.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in the previous class, I also told you that I'll tell you how to bring or write a particular SQL query so that you can bring only 1 or 2 columns that you need from a SQL server. Okay. Now look, let us say, I hope you all are versed with the basic SQL queries. If I write select star from human resources dot employee, I'll be getting what? All the columns, right? If I execute this first, let me connect to this. Okay. Then if I select star from human resources dot employees, I'll be getting all the columns like this. Okay. But let's say if I want to need 2 columns in this, job title and let's say vacation hours. Where is job title? This is the job title. And vacation hours, that is the corresponding vacation hours. This one. Okay. Let's say if I want to bring in only these 2 things, then what I can do, I can select this query. I'll be getting only these two columns. No, now I'll do the same here as well. Okay, so let me first write down the SQL server name. Okay, and to write the query, you need to definitely enter the database name. Without entering the database name, that won't be possible. So database is AdventureWorks 2019, which I'm entering here. And I'm going to advanced options. Here, you can write the SQL query. I mean, if there is a big table and you want only 2 columns or maybe some columns out of it, you can write a particular query. I'm writing this same query into the Power BI, okay, like this. Now let's see what happens. See, I'm getting only 2 columns. Hope this is understood. If I load this now, I'll be having a table with only 2 columns from human resources.employee. Everybody got the
Okay.
point how to write the SQL queries and bring the data into the Power BI now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would
Now
that
let me
work with
also-
multiple any type of query, be it how complex it is?
Yes, without
Okay.
a problem. Okay, any query which can be executed in SQL Server or MySQL or any database can be executed in Power BI as well. Hope I'm clear with that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me connect to one more kind of data source, which we call Microsoft Access. That also is a kind of a database. Okay. So we will go to the database and select Access database, and I'll select connect to that. Okay. Now you have one Access database here. I'll store that in my computer. Don't worry, I'll share all these files today for your own practice. Okay. Now I'll click on open. And the thing is, it'll again ask me to select the tables within that database. It might take some time. Okay, so again, first we are created with the views, and below the views in Access database, there are also some temporary tables which are preceded with TMP. So these are temporary tables. Okay. And then we have the main tables here. You can see the single icons are the tables. Okay. Let's say if I want to bring some of the tables in this.
So,
Yeah.
Pawan, I have a doubt, like in the product order view. Okay. So we can create a view from different table in this product orders
Yes.
view.
Yes, and bring that view as well.
Okay. Okay. So we
Okay.
can create view
Yes.
there. Only.
Okay. Okay. So I'll click on load again, and that will be loaded. Okay. And now, let me tell you a very important thing. In similar way, you can connect to most of the data sources and databases. Now, the procedure for most of the part will be the same, whether it is Oracle database or MySQL database or NoSQL database. For most of the databases, the procedure will be same. You should be, you are required to enter the server name and database name. And if needed, you can write the query as well. So this is how you can connect to most of these parts. Okay, most
Okay.
of these parts.
So only you can connect via blank query. So how we connect the blank query in get data option?
What do you exactly mean by blank query?
Yeah, there is an option in drop down list.
Uh-huh.
So how we connect via with this blank query?
You can write a query from the scratch, in the sense when you want to write a table itself, you want to create a database, right? There you go on to write the query like create table. You want to begin from the basic, so that also can be done.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the thing.
Okay, thank you.
Pawan, I have a query.
Yes.
Suppose we perform some data cleaning in SQL database. So while importing the data from SQL, it will import the like updated one, like
whatever you have
clean data.
stored, whatever you have stored and saved will be imported. Yes, the latest version, right? Okay.
How to connect to Cloud DB?
Cloud DB, again, the thing is for Cloud DB also you'll be having a server name and database name. Okay, like Azure Synapse Lake.
Yep.
Okay. For that as well, if I go and let's see.
Or suppose my file is in the
Yeah. Okay.
Azure block.
Look, Azure SQL database. Okay. So for that as well, you can connect. You are supposed to enter the basic things, and these. Look, it's again a server and database. Okay. And don't worry, most of the things that you need to connect to for them, for that the server and database name will be given by the industries. So that's not a problem. Hope I'm
Okay.
clear with this.
Yes.
Okay. Now, so see, I'm telling you one very important thing now. In interviews, okay, and make this very clear. In interviews, the interviewers have the tendency to ask you that how many data sources you have worked with. Okay. So you can say that you have worked with CSV or flat files, then you have worked with Excel worksheets. Importantly, you can say you have worked with MySQL database or SQL Server database or Access database. Okay. So they just want to see how many types of data that you can get into the Power BI and you have worked with. Okay. So that question I think is clear with you, right? And you can also bring the data from a SharePoint folder. SharePoint folder is nothing but it's a Microsoft SharePoint. It has folders, and within the folder, it has files. You can bring those files by getting directly the folder. Okay. It's also very simple, not a big problem at all. Okay. So this is the way to bring in the data into the Power BI. Hope this is clear to everyone.
Yes.
And one more thing. I'll show you one more thing. If you want to get the data from the web, let's say, okay. So
API.
the simple thing you want to enter is some website detail followed by this. You keep in mind, it should be like this always.
You mean
And
to say API, right?
not API, I'm talking about direct web. Okay. So this, you should enter a proper website address. Okay. Not a short form that we enter on Google, like simply yahoo.com or something like that. Okay. And one more important thing is that web should have a public access. Okay. If some tables are locked in that, you will not be able to connect with them. Okay.
So it is basically for data scraping purpose.
Web scraping purpose. Yes.
So do we have any website where we can play that, right? Something like that.
Yes, we do. Let me, I
Can you
think I
please?
had one. Just a second. Okay. I'm just not opening this because it sometimes will take time to load the data, but anyways, we'll try.
No, you just ping that. I will try that. No problem.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Sure. I'll be sending that to you.
Yeah, sure,
people
sure.
anyways. Okay. Once you get into that, it will show you the tables. Okay. You can get the required tables you want from that web. Okay.
Yep.
Fine. So hope thinking that this thing is clear with everyone, I'll start moving on to the next thing that is very important. So this is one of the important questions that they will ask you in the interviews in Power BI. How many modes of storages are there in Power BI, or what are the different ways in which you can connect to the data sources? Not different type of data sources, but way in which you can connect to the data sources. Okay. So first one is import mode, and second one is direct query mode. These are the two important things. Okay. Now let me tell you what is import mode. Import mode of bringing data into the Power BI is a mode in which Power BI brings the data in itself. Okay. Means the data is brought into the Power BI and it compresses it using an engine which is called as Vertipack compressor. Okay. Thing to be noted. The import mode is the one wherein Power BI brings data in itself and it is compressed to very much extent. And for compressing, it uses Vertipack compressor engine. Is this clear?
Yes, but sorry, before you explain
Can
that,
you repeat?
I'm a little bit confused. Did you say what you have listed here also refers to modes of bringing data to Power BI?
Yes, exactly.
So how is that different from data sources?
No. The thing is, data sources are the different data sources which I can connect to. Okay. The way in which I can connect to those sources are these.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me show you what import mode does. Okay. For example, I have saved 2 files here to show you exactly that. So import
These
mode.
modes are applicable for all the data sources or only for the database?
All the data sources.
Okay.
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 So look here, I'm showing you one important thing. I'll show you the, by this way, I can show you the difference between the direct query and import mode. Okay. So first let me open this file. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now look, the thing to be noted here is that I have brought 2 files in here, or two data or 2 data sources, and I have brought it within Power BI in import mode. It means that Power BI compresses it and stores it within the Power BI itself. Okay. And the thing is, if let us say I make any changes in the source in the backend, okay, if I make any changes in the source in the backend, let's say in backend these are Excel files, okay, until and unless I refresh this in Power BI, those changes won't be reflected here. Hope you all are getting the point.
Yeah.
Okay. If let's say these are Excel files, until and unless I refresh it here, the backend changes won't be reflecting here, because these are now stored in Power BI itself. Only if I press refresh here, those will be, or those new changes will be reflected in here. Is that clear?
Yeah. So
okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
So like the backend changes you are referring to, if there is any change to the, is made to the original data source, which is this case is SQL
Excel.
data. Okay.
SQL or Excel or any data source.
Got
okay.
But my question here is, while importing the Excel, right, where we are specifying the import mode? Because while database, I can see that direct import and the direct, right? But in Excel, I didn't see that, right? Where I can see that?
In Excel, what you didn't see?
Import, right? Mode.
Look, let me do that again for you. Excel workbook. See, this is the import mode itself. Okay.
So in a Excel we have only one import mode only, right?
Yeah, the thing is, look, the direct query, it establishes connection with the database.
Correct.
Okay, it establishes the connection with the database. Let us say you want to bring Excel data in direct query mode. Then the way to do it is, first you convert that Excel into a database. Okay, and then you establish the connection between the database and Power BI if you want to establish a direct query.
So you mean to say that whatever the Excel is there, I have to upload into the database. From the database, I have to query, like?
Yes.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
So this is
one more question. Can we see these physical files of compressed files?
Yeah, I'm trying to show that. Okay, just give me some time. I'll show you how the compression happens. Okay, don't worry, I'll show you that. So yeah, let me also open the direct query. Okay.
So default is import mode, right?
Default is import mode, yes. But you can't say default because Power BI obviously offers you option to get the data in import mode or direct query or live connection as well. Okay. So we can't, I mean, we cannot think of it as a default mode, but yeah, we have options. Okay. So look here, what I've done is here I have brought the data in direct query form. Okay. Okay, internal model, server database names are correct. Okay. Not an issue. I'll do it once again. No worries. Yeah.
So whatever the SQL we written, that is a direct mode only, right?
Yes. No. Okay, I'll come to that. Look, in SQL, you can import the data as well. Okay. Wait, man. I'll show you both the things how it can be done in SQL. Okay. Look, if I want to get the data from SQL Server, you have two options there. Look, import or direct query. Hope it's clear.
Yes.
In SQL, both things can be done. Okay.
No, what I'm trying to say that in advance, we are writing the SQL, right? In advanced option. So that is a direct mode only, right? Advanced.
You can see, not just direct mode, you can write it in import mode as well.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
So don't get confused with that.
So,
okay.
So you explained earlier that if you bring in the data here and you have not applied the changes and close it, I mean, if you have not pressed refreshed, it will not affect
it. It would not reflect in the Power BI if you are in import mode. Okay.
Okay.
Now the thing is, look here, I have brought the same tables. Okay. You can see it in this. Okay. We have same e-commerce data and US state lab codes. Okay. Now let me show you the difference between the files. Okay. Direct query is one where it has just established the connection to the SQL Server. So you can see the file size. How much is this? 21.1 KB, right? So the data has not been brought into the Power BI. It has just established the connection between the data source and Power BI. Okay. And any changes that are made in the database are immediately reflected here in Power BI. Whereas in import mode, if I see the file size, now look, how much is it? It is 3.72 MB. So basically it has brought in the data into the Power BI. Hope this thing is clear to you, everyone.
Yeah, so you put that those shortcuts, or they got created when you explore those modes?
In the sense, I have saved these files.
Okay.
I've saved these files. Okay.
Yeah.
So let us see the
in direct query, as you are saying that it's just pointing towards the database only, table reference. So if I make changes to the table reference, like if I delete the table or move,
it will be immediately reflected in Power BI. Okay. Now let's get back.
No, I'm saying like if I move the table reference to another database, so I need to change it here as well, right? In the Power BI.
No, in Power BI, your connection, you are just establishing the connection. Okay. Whatever changes you have made in SQL will be immediately reflected in Power BI in direct query mode. Okay. Okay. Now, before discussing these two things, let us first discuss the difference between these two things, because this is very predominantly asked. They will ask you in most of the interview questions. This is a predominantly asked question, which is what's the difference between import mode and direct query mode. Okay. So first thing first, the thing is the amount of data that can be brought into Power BI in import mode, it is up to 10 GB if you have premium license. But if you don't have premium license, then it is just 1 GB. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. Whereas in direct query, there is no such limitation. You can bring a very huge data as well. You cannot bring, you can just connect. Okay, is what I mean. Okay. Now, in one more important thing is that you can bring data from multiple sources in import mode, whereas in direct query mode, there will be only one single data source. Okay, for example, we brought in from SQL source. Okay, so if we want to include more from the single source, then it will be we need to include that in SQL itself and bring from that. So what I mean to say is there will be only one source in direct query. Okay, one source from where we can bring the data.
I didn't get this. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, let's say we are working in the direct query mode.
Okay.
Okay. Then there will be only one source of direct query.
One source of direct query means what? In my database, I have multiple tables. I can bring that, right?
So Pawan, as I understand, only we can use a single data source in direct query. And in import mode, we can use multiple data sources like Excel.
That's what I mean. Okay.
Yeah.
There should be only one source of direct query. There cannot be two. Okay. Or
multiple data sources we cannot connect in direct query.
We cannot connect in direct query. Okay. So next important thing is that the query performance in import mode will be better compared to query performance in direct query mode. You might ask how. That is due to the fact that in import mode, the Power BI has the data within itself. It has the cache data within itself. So it will always be there to work with. Whereas in direct query, at each instance of the query, it has to establish the connection within SQL Server database or any other database. So the thing is, if the database connection or SQL Server is not working fine, that will be reflected in Power BI as well. So the direct query is not performance efficient as compared to import mode. Clear?
Okay.
Yes.
Now, next thing, any changes in the underlying data or the backend data will not be reflected in import mode until you manually refresh the data in Power BI. Okay. Whereas in database whereas in direct query mode, any change you do in the backend, okay, will be reflected immediately in the Power BI. Okay, that's what I mean. And data storage in Power BI, since it's a cached memory mode, the data stored in Power BI service as well. Okay, service. See, there is also one more component of Power BI, which is called Power BI service, which is a cloud service. So there it will be stored once you publish the data set. Okay, this is the point I think you should come across Power BI service to really understand this. Until unless you understand the Power BI service, you won't be getting much of it. But right now, just remember the data can be stored in the Power BI service, that is in cloud as well, in import mode. Whereas in direct query mode, it won't be. Okay. Next, as far as number of refreshes that are possible in import mode, they are restricted to 48 per day if you have premium capacity. But if you don't have premium capacity, let's say you have a pro license, then there are only 8 refreshes per day. Okay. Whereas in direct query mode, you can refresh as often as every 15 minutes. Okay. Then this supports all the data transformations. Which one? The import mode. Whereas this will not support all the data transformations. And when I say data transformations, the ways in which you can clean the data, it supports 100% functionality in import mode. Whereas same will not be the case when you're using direct query mode. Okay. Next, as far as usage of DAX expressions is concerned, import mode supports all the DAX functions, whereas some of the DAX functions will not be functionable when we use direct query method. Okay. Like importantly, time intelligence functions will not work in direct query mode. Okay. And calculated tables, just like calculated columns, we also have calculated tables in Power BI. They will be available in import mode, whereas in query mode, they won't be. Okay. And similarly, quick insights, which I showed you in one of the previous classes, it is available in import mode, not so in query mode. Okay. And one very important thing, okay, if you want to change in connectivity mode, let's say if you have brought something in import mode initially, and if you want to change to direct query, it's not possible. Okay, but you can change the connection mode from query mode to import mode for the same table. Okay, and this is also one of the important differences, that you can bring small and medium sized data sets in import mode, whereas you can connect to large data sets in query mode. But usually in industries, they have tendency to always use import mode, because import mode supports 100% functionality in Power Query Editor, as well as very important thing, DAX. And main important thing about the reporting tool will be how the DAX functions, because that is how you can get the required result to the business center. Hope this thing is clear to everyone now, these differences.
One question. So from this comparison, we can see the import mode is better, but what if I have to get the transactional data every time, because it's supports only 48 maximum refreshes per day. So if I need a data on a frequent basis, okay, then what should we do on this case?
See, if you need a data in a very frequent way, like let's say, you have a transactional data which keeps on refreshing every 10 minutes or so, then you can make a use of direct query method. Okay, but usually what they do, if the requirement in terms of customization of views is of prime importance, then they primarily go for import mode only. Okay,
but if I go for the direct query mode, I will be losing a lot of benefits, right? There are limitations to this, like DAX expressions are not.
Yes. Okay. See, I'll tell you presently what's happening in the industries. Okay. So the thing is, I'm working in certain project wherein the number of records is almost around 10 million to 20 million. Okay. So in spite of that, we are using import mode. Okay. So that's the thing. So it supports till 10 GB, and 10 GB in the sense it's not very less. 10 GB means you can get the data of the number of records which are into 40 or 50 million, something like that, of that sort. Okay. So that is done. And as far as refreshing the data is concerned, the frequency in refresh can be increased by bringing in some external tools, like getting connected from Power Automate. By using Power Automate, you can increase the frequency of refresh more than 48 per day. Hope I'm clear with this. Okay.
So if you're working in a live environment and you're getting tasks that involve these modes, it will be specified in a request, or you have to determine what mode you want to use?
This thing will be decided before the start of the project, the way in which you want to bring the data. Okay. So as a Power BI developer, it's not ultimately on you, but it will be a part of a big meeting that goes on. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pawan, I have one question.
Yes,
in case if I'm working with direct mode, so if I'm deleting something, I'm doing some modification, I'm deleting some columns, I'm removing a null values. So then if directly, if it is getting refreshed, then automatically whatever the changes which I done in the Power BI, it will automatically removed from the sources, right?
No. Look, okay, not that. Okay. Even in direct query, okay, let's say I showed you in the one of the previous class, you go on to, let's say, do some transformations. Okay, let me actually do some transformation to make you understand that. Okay. Okay, I don't have any options in this. Let's say, okay, I have many options here. Okay. I'll go to transform data. Okay. And let's say, as you said, I remove certain columns. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's say I have removed certain columns. Let's say I'll delete. I'll directly remove the columns. Okay. Let's say I removed column number 3. Okay. See, that step has been recorded here. Can you see this step?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is happening in Power BI. That is not happening in the backend. Okay. What you're doing, you're establishing the connection with the backend source, and into Power BI, you're also doing certain Power Query editing steps. So that is happening in Power BI only, not in the backend. You got it?
Okay. Yeah, got it.
No, this is the import mode, right? What he's talking about is the
yes.
direct mode.
In the direct query also, the columns can be removed. Okay.
No.
It will not affect the. Yeah, it will not.
It will not affect. It will not affect.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I didn't get you. See, suppose this is whatever you're showing, right? It is coming from the SQL server, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we have removed the column in the Power BI or in the backend, right? It should refresh automatically. Suppose there are 5 columns, right?
No, look, let me come again. I'm not removing the columns from the backend.
Okay.
Understood? This is happening in Power BI, not in SQL.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah. No, my question here is, suppose what is the output is coming from the direct query from the SQL server, right? Suppose I'm getting 5 columns and 2 columns I drop from the backend DB, right? So it will show the changes here, refresh, right?
Yes, it will show, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. But what this another person asked the doubt was, if I do any changes here, will that reflect in backend? So the answer is no. Okay.
Okay.
I have a question. If we are deleting any column here and then we are refreshing this data, so will it be picking up the same column again?
Look, the thing is, if I, let's say, close and apply these steps and I save these steps, and then if I put, pick on refresh. Now, along with the backend data, these steps also will be refreshed. Hope I'm clear.
Okay. Yeah.
So it will be getting that data, and again, it will be subjecting to these steps, and that is what the refresh actually means. So no matter if you're refreshing, that column will anyhow be removed once again. Got it?
Got
your point. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So this is about the main difference between the direct query and import mode. Okay, we have a very short span of time, and within that, I'll try to explain these two as well. Okay. Now, live connection is very same as direct query. Apart from the fact that in live connection, we bring the data in the cube form. Cube form in the sense, the multi-dimensional data, the data which is connected, which is created with some of the backend sources like Azure, SSIS, okay, wherein you can create multi-dimensional data, okay. So that's the only difference between live connection and direct query. Apart from that, it is very similar to, not very similar, it is same as direct query. Only in live connection, we can bring the data in the cube form, okay. Then we have dual or composite mode, okay. Sometimes they might ask you in the interview, what is the dual mode or composite mode, or it's also called as hybrid mode. Okay. Now, what is this? Let's say in one of the Power BI file, some of the data or some of the tables you get in import mode, and some other data you get in query mode or direct query mode. So that kind of model is called as dual mode model or composite mode or hybrid mode modeling. Okay. Hope this is clear with you.
Yes. You say sometimes they ask you the difference between the dual mode and the live query, or they ask you.
See, mainly, I'll tell you how they frame the question. Okay. First, they might ask you, what are the different modes in which you can get the data into the Power BI? So you got to say these 3. Okay.
Yeah.
This is actually created by the users. Okay, this is not even mentioned in the Power BI website. Okay, but it is created by the users themselves. So mainly you need to tell them the difference between import mode and query mode. As far as live connection, it is similar to direct query, apart from the fact that it has the data in the form of cube or multi-dimensional model. Okay, so hope this is clear to everyone.
Yes.
This thing here is very much important. Okay, always make sure that you know these things. Okay.
Are we going to have access to this document?
Okay, if you want, I can share this with you as well, but I hope you have taken the screenshots of this at least. No.
No, we are
No,
not. So you
no.
will share that, right?
I was writing,
we
but
didn't take
I couldn't keep up.
Okay, I'll share that with you people as well. Not a problem. Okay.
Right, thanks.
Okay. So that is it, and okay, it's time already.
So, Pawan, what I understood, right? So we have a multiple source, right? And we bring some in the direct and some in the import mode. So that is called the dual mode, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, let's say I'll show you one more difference. Let's say if there is a dual mode, okay, the data which is brought from the direct query, it will be like this. I mean, in the data model, it will be highlighted with the top being of different color, right? In this, it's a blue one, but it might also be different. But this is the direct query, okay? And yes,
What you're trying to say?
Look here. Okay, let me try and bring it.
So today we imported, right, SQL Server. And
yeah, I'll try to show in that as well, but bear with me for 2 more minutes. Okay, I'll show you that. Okay, so all of these here, let me discard the changes. Okay, can you see all these tables here?
Yes.
In the data model. So all of these have been brought in
import.
Which mode? Import mode, right? But if they were brought from direct query mode, the top portion of those tables will be reflected by a different light. They'll be highlighted with a different color. Sorry, not light, different color is what I mean. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. And very important thing, in direct query mode, the table view will not be present. You're seeing the data view or table view here. Whereas in direct query mode, this view itself will not be present. You will be having only report view as well as model view, but not table view. Very important point. Okay.
For direct query.
Can you repeat?
Look here. Okay, look. In Power BI, we have 3 views: report view, okay, then table view, and third one is model view. Okay, let me just zoom out of this. Okay, so in model view, you can see all the tables. Okay, whereas in direct query mode, this table view won't be present. Hope I'm clear.
Table view.
So it is there, right? Table. I am not.
This is import mode.
Can you flip back to the other one again? Let's see.
Okay, let me bring that once again, people. Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay.
No, we bring that, right? That HR schema is from the direct.
Which one? Okay.
Human resource, right? This is from the database, right?
Yeah, database, but it is import mode. See here, it is showing. Okay. I'll bring it once again.
So you mean to say that whatever the table coming, so you can't see the table mode there, right? In
query mode. I'll show you once again. Don't worry about that at all. Just a second. I'll close it all. I'll try to show it to you once again. But just give me 2 minutes. Okay. Which file is this? I'll just close this. Let me open it once again.
You have direct query file over the desktop.
Yeah, but there is some connection problem there. Okay. So
one more question, right? Like we have import everything, right? Now we save it, right? Now our source file we have deleted, right? Excel order.csv and text. So whether we are able to see the data still, because we already imported.
Yeah, look, if you don't refresh it, then you'll see it. But if you refresh it, it will tell you the refresh is not possible. It will give you an error.
Oh, still it's pointing to back. Okay.
Yeah, but only in import mode. Okay. I'll go to
even if you change the source file location also, it will throw an error once if you refresh it.
Yes.
So you have to place the exact location where you, if you are change it in the different location, you have to provide a particular location, then only it will work.
Yes, I think that I showed in the previous class in data source settings.
Yes.
So I'm entering the server name and this once again. Okay, database. Okay, so I'm bringing it in
direct mode,
query mode.
Yeah.
Okay, direct query mode. Okay. Yeah, it is connected. Let me bring one simple table. Okay, and let me directly load it. Just a second, it's still loading. Now, can you see that the data mode is not, data view is not there.
Yes.
There's only report view and model view.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And in the model view also, you can see the top of the table reflected with different color. Okay.
Pawan, in case if I want to do any modification or editing or something which we need to perform in the direct mode, how we can do it?
Again, I can. Yeah, look here. I told you earlier as well. You can go to transform query all times. Only thing is, all the steps might not work. You might not get the 100% functionality, but you can still edit it here. Those steps will be recorded in each and every step. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so it's already the time. So people who are busy with other things can just leave. And if you have certain people, if you have any more doubts, then you can definitely ask.
Do you mind going to your PowerPoint slide 10?
Yes, 10. Okay.
So these are the major sources that we can take note of, right? The most commonly used ones is what you have here.
See, it depends. Most commonly used presently are SQL Server database, sometimes CSV flat files, and it depends on what kind of data lake that we have in the industry. For example, Azure Synapse is one of the predominantly used data lake. Okay, so that is also one of the most. But no matter what the source is, usually you will be you will be asked to write the server name and the database name which you want to get. Okay, so that's how it usually goes, and that will be shared with you people.
Okay, and one more thing. So when you get the data and you do all your transformation, is there any particular rule for naming it, or the company will give you some naming convention to be able to label your reports appropriately?
Okay, it works both ways. In certain companies, they'll be having a set of rules to even name the tables. Okay, so that needs to be followed. Else, if such thing doesn't exist, you can name it in the way it makes sense to you and the users, end users, I mean. Okay.
Okay.
So, Pawan, in the direct query mode, it's just like it will query the data and it will import, right?
It will not import, man. Again, I'm telling you, it will just establish the connection with the backend. So whatever is happening in the backend, it will reflect exactly as it is in the front end. And when I say front end, I mean Power BI.
So, but the changes, whatever we made in the Power BI will not reflect in the database.
Yes, the reverse will not hold good here.
Okay. This seems a little confusing.
Direct query data is not present. That's why that function is not work.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why you cannot use certain functions, because for usage of certain DAX queries, you need the tables to be present in Power BI, and that is not the case in direct query mode.
Pawan, can you explain that compression, something you are explaining that, right?
See, the simple explanation for that is there is a Vertipack compressor engine, okay, in Power BI. And in Power BI in the sense, in the software itself, okay. So what it does is, when it brings in the data into the Power BI, it compresses it and stores it in Power BI, okay.
In case of import, right?
In case of only import, yeah.
Okay.
And but Pawan, can we see that physical locations? Like it's not possible to see.
Physical location of what?
The store, the compressed file, the backend.
No, we cannot.
Okay.
It's like it's stored in a cache memory. Okay.
So
anything else, people?
Pawan, actually go to
when you publish when you publish the PBIX file, it gets it loads the data as well. I mean, this is an in-memory kind of thing.
Yes, right? Yes. When we look here, for that I'll show you the maybe PowerBI.com. Let me see if I will be directed to my workspace. See, people, these things will be actually told to you once we are into the Power BI service, because there will deal with it in more detail, but still I'll try to clear it now. When you publish any PBIX into the Power BI service, two files will be stored. Even though here we have only PBIX, okay, the same file will be stored as a data set and as well as a report. Okay, now you look here, the sales sales thing. Let me show you in the workspace itself. Okay, in Power BI. Now this sales, you are seeing, all of you are seeing this sales.
Yes.
Yeah, it has two files. One is only the report and another is data set. Now the data set is the entire PBIX along with the data, and the report is only the report. Report in the sense only the visualizations. For example, if I open that, it will be this. Okay, report only consists of the different visuals. Okay, whereas if I go into the data set, it will be consisting of data as well. So your answer is that yes, the data also will be stored into the Power BI service.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
This we are going to cover down the line, right?
Down the line, everything will be covered. Yeah.
Okay. So, Pawan, I have one question, right? So we have imported multiple sources, right? Database, Excel, C3 and all that. And now, while next day we have closed the application, right? So we need to save it, right? In single file or multiple files we need to save?
Why? What do you mean multiple files?
Like we have opened like sales, HR, like employee, customer and all that, right?
Okay, the thing is,
we need to individually save or
no.
That actually.
Look, the thing is, let's say you are doing one project, okay, and it involves the aspects like the sales, the finances, and the revenue aspects, and identifying the top customers. You can bring all those files into the Power BI, and you can make one analysis out of it, one report out of it, and you can save it as a single file. Okay, but if you want to make different reports, you can do that as well based on the requirement. Okay, for example, just let me show you that. Okay, now we have this sales. Okay, now the sales has e-commerce data as well as some geographical longitude and latitude codes as well as date master. Okay, so these are the tables. Whereas if you open the reports, there are certain aspects like look, what are the top 5 products which are sold, and what are the regions with sales. Okay, so things like this, and some of the KPIs, what's the profit, what's the sales. So it depends what you want to do in this, because that's the thing which bringing the database will be based on. Okay. If I want revenue, then I need the sales data. As simple as that. Okay.
Okay.
Fine, then we'll stop it here if there are no further questions, right?
Pawan, I have one question.
Okay.
So my question is, in one single Power BI session, how many data sources in import mode can we connect to?
Many, man. Okay. In one of my previous projects, I had almost more than 100+ tables into one PBIX. Okay. Until and unless it is under 10 GB in import mode, we can bring it. As simple as
and
that.
in the query mode, the other mode, so how many sources can we connect to?
Again, many sources, but in direct query, there will be only one direct query source, which I told you. Okay. Within that source, there can be many tables. Okay, but source will only be one. Okay. Like,
so
let's
it
say
can
there is
be can be like a CSV file or an Excel file or a SQL database. Is that what you're trying to say?
See, if let's say in direct query, you have brought in from SQL database.
Okay.
So it can be only one SQL database. Okay. Within that SQL database, there can be many tables, numerous tables. Okay. But the source will be only one. Clear?
So in direct query mode, we cannot at the same time import data from we cannot import data from SQL database and from Excel, right?
Yeah. See, how can I explain you this?
Let me explain here, Miller here. See, you can import the data. It will be left hand with all the tables, whatever the column which you are importing, table importing, it will be for imported. And then if you want to be imported from the direct query mode also, you can write it and then the exact column will be fetch it and then it will be stored it in the left side as a table. So you can use the both the things in you can use it. You cannot, I can say that you cannot use it, but you can use it. You have to be first you select the import mode. All the columns and table names will be reflected in the left hand side, and then you use the direct query mode. Whatever the column which you want to be fetched from the database, you can utilize it.
That's what the dual mode is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in the direct mode, I have a 3 DBs database, right? Greenplum and DB2 Oracle. So we can bring it, right? One table from there, one table from there.
No, it cannot.
No. That's what I told.
See, basically, what he is trying to say is you can use only one database at a time. You cannot utilize multiple data. It will get confused.
Let me give you the scenario which project I am working currently, right? So I am working for the bank, right? So in the bank, the customer can do mutual fund, customer can do FDs and all that, home loan and all that. Now we are building a dashboard, right? We have a different DBs. For mutual fund, we have a different DB. Okay. For what is that? Home loan, we have a different DB, and for personal, we have a different DB. Now we want to show a text. I am entering one account ID, and it will show me the 360. So we are bringing the data from the different database into the Power BI, right?
Okay. Can I know your name?
My name is Vivek.
Vivek. Okay. First things first. Okay. In practical cases, bringing data from direct query method, okay, it will make your model very slow. Okay. To be very frank. Okay. Even though the interviews have tendency to ask this, why didn't you use direct query and all? But I have made use of direct query in projects, and I have found out that direct query makes your model very slow. Okay. So generally, we don't have tendency to use that until and unless that's the only way we can work it. Okay. So basically, we can use the import mode, and in import mode, as I said earlier, you can bring the data from multiple sources that you want.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Shall we stop here then? Okay.
So Monday we are meeting.
Yeah, Monday we'll be meeting, and today I'll be sharing all these data source files with you, and I hope you connect with the data source by yourselves and you kind of play with it. Okay. Before
you're going to share this PPT, right? Whatever the modes and all that PPT, right?
I will. Okay. I will.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Bhuvan. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll meet on Monday. Bye, guys.
Happy weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.